young black man instead of the Trump supporters. And the women in the crowd intervened, and not just white women, but black women also. But it was so important for white women to stand up and to put ourselves between the police and people of color, so that we say to them, knowing that they're going to treat us differently, you don't get to do this. We're here, we deserve to be heard, and you don't need to come at us with riot shields and, batons and pepper spray and everything else.
Yeah, definitely. I know in Austin, when we were walking around before we went to the gathering point for the march, there were a significant number of police officers in town, but they were all, bicycle cops, and they were the guys standing around, and everybody was saying good morning and how are you, hope you have a good day, and all this stuff, and everybody was really polite and really nice. And I think that was definitely because they were expecting a bunch of white middle class women, and that's what they got, and that was the interaction that they were prepared for. They weren't expecting riots. They weren't out there in their full gear. Even at the rallying point at the Capitol building, they were out there in golf carts, and they were hanging out and chit-chatting on the radio. And
the biggest inconvenience was they weren't letting people use the restrooms inside the Capitol.
Yeah. There were no problems with the police officers, but it was just because this was the crowd that they were expecting. It would have been totally different if it had been a massive Black Lives Matters or one of these other gatherings. I'm sure that the tone of it would have been totally different, and that's definitely something that we need to acknowledge.
Oh, that's very true. Especially when, there were, disturbances at the actual inauguration. And yes, again, you can't not mention them, because I can promise you the other side will, point that out to death.
Yeah.
That, so this happened and they're smashing windows and this, that, and the other. But, again, wasn't there. I don't know what led up to that. And it definitely was a very different tone as far as the police were concerned. I did want to move on, though, to our next topic, though, guys. Sorry. I wanted to head over to... I wanted to talk about the press secretary, Sean Spicer, who is really, really not... I don't think he understands numbers. He was letting everybody know that the inauguration was the biggest that has ever been, bigger than Obama's, when clearly we have photos that show otherwise. I've seen posts from people saying, it was busy, but it wasn't like blow your mind busy, and people were kind of like dismissing it the day of the inauguration, saying, well, we have jobs, not everybody can be there, because they recognized there wasn't that many people there. Whereas, the next day after good old Sean gets up there and, they get their marching orders saying, hey, it was, fake news that was reporting, we blew it out of the park. Let me throw it over to Kara. What are your thoughts?
Well, it's so hard to gather my thoughts on this because it's mind-blowing. Honestly, to me, it's frightening, because I'm one of the people, I'm a masochist, I guess. I watched the inauguration on TV as it was happening, so I saw what the crowds were like, and I saw it firsthand. So I know what they look like. And to have the president's press secretary get up in front of the media and say, these were the numbers, what you saw was a lie, the media is lying, it was the biggest. To me, it's a little terrifying, honestly, that someone would do that, and that he's representing our president, and he's lying. Like, he's got to be lying. And so it is a little mind-blowing, but my very first thought is that it really is frightening, because it's, the first weekend, and you're going to lie about this. What else are you going to lie about? Where is it going to go from here? Because this is such a minor thing that people on Twitter were joking about it. The media wasn't saying anything, but that was enough to get under their skin so that they had to come out and talk about it. So I just really worry about where it's going to go now. What's the next lie? Like, what are you guys going to lie to us about on Monday? How bad is it going to be? And how long before the entire country starts to believe it? That really is frightening.
It is. Well, and then, you've, of course, got Kellyanne Conway coming out, saying that, he wasn't lying. These are just alternative facts, which, again, has become...
not a thing.
Yeah, it's become America's favorite new slang. Everybody's going to be telling those alternative facts left and right. Aaron, what are your thoughts on alternative facts?
I mean, of course I'm going to find it incredibly troubling. It is literally Orwellian doublespeak. I mean, she basically is deliberately obscuring and distorting, and calling lies by something else. And the people, there are so many people who are just accepting it. And the fact that this government now is just so flagrantly introducing these just alternative facts, and that they're doing this in order to disguise the truth, in order to get people to just be complacent. It's completely, yeah, it's frightening. The thing that I really, really think that needs to be highlighted, and that I'm worried won't, is the fact that this is not a partisan issue at all. This is our government, everyone's government, lying to us, to our faces. And the fact that there are going to be so many people who just while it away and say, it's not like that. It's, they're telling a different side of the story, or whatever it may be. This is how things this is the start of the end, basically, for me. Trump getting elected was the start of the end. But this is just that wheel turning. More and more of this is going to happen if we let it happen.
Dex, what is your thoughts on how we can fight alternative facts?
We really just you have to take it into your own hands. You have to do your own research and, find out for yourself. Dig deeper than what, the first news story that you see is. Anybody that's done any kind of investigative journalism, or even just research on any certain subject, let's say you're doing a paper for a subject in school, you're going to try to dig a little deeper than just the first thing that pops up on Google, or at least I hope you do. I know that, just following what you see on, say CNN or Fox or MSN or any of the mainstream news sites, sometimes you're going to get reliable news, sometimes you're not, and sometimes you're going to get reliable news, but it's going to be spun to the point where, there's more bias on one side than the other. So it really pays to do your own research. And my favorite go-tos for, unbiased news would just be NPR, AP website. Those AP Wire is where most places get their news anyway to report. They just rewrite the story depending on their audience. So it really does pay to find your own safe news sources, which I always check against at least 2 or 3 different sites on most big stories, like say the numbers for the actual numbers for the inauguration versus the women's march, the women's marches. There are several different reports from several different sites on how many people were at which ones, and once you consolidate them all, you get kind of a good average after 3 or 4 different places. And it is a pain in the ass to have to go and search out all of that information, but I would rather be annoyed by the fact that I'm having to do all this research and make sure that I have the right information than just go off of the first thing that I hear and possibly be getting alternative facts. So that's my advice. Just keep doing research. Don't settle for the first thing you see.
I'm going to throw the next question that I wanted to ask over to Kelly. How do you think Trump voters are handling our new world with things like alternative facts being presented to them as the facts?
I'm all very excited about this question. So the non-press conference didn't appear to go over very well with at least one member of my household. So we had that discussion this morning, which we're not allowed to discuss politics over breakfast, because that really sets the tone for the day and it's not always good. but this discussion we were actually in agreement on, of everybody being completely frightened about this whole, threatening the American people. That was something we could agree on. So I have hope. A lot of people seem to be confused on why Kellyanne Conway even there, but they just accept her because, yay, Trump. I don't know why, but a lot of the pro-Trump people that I know seem to start kind of moving away from being non-questioning to now they're like, well, let's see what the first 100 days looks like. So they're kind of moving a little bit farther away from just taking everything without any question. But I don't know if that just kind of speaks to my area. They're very middle of the road anyway. And Trump just took a lot of them away from the middle of the road. So I'm not sure what we'll see from them. I don't have too much hope at this point. But, I have to kind of hold on to that something will start working in their brains a little bit better.
Katie, so how do you feel having a press secretary that really apparently just does not have a problem with exaggerating the truth a little bit or a lot? Especially since he's actually been quoted saying that he couldn't do his job if he had to lie because it would hurt his credibility with the press. That was on January 4th, by the way, that he said that. So here we are.
He's not going to last a month. I'm not surprised. They started the campaign by lying. They lied through the entire campaign. Why anybody thinks that the minute he took the oath of office, he was lying when he took the oath of office. So he lied pretty constantly. He's still lying. His people lie. Why anybody would think that anything that comes out of these people's mouths is going to even be remotely true, I don't know, because that's not what I expect now. And maybe that's just because of my experience with my teenager, where I'm like, well, guess what? We've hit the point where I don't believe anything that comes out of your mouth. You could tell me that it's raining, and if I look outside and it's raining, maybe I'll believe you, but I might not. I might have set the hose up to make it look like it's raining. He's doing what he's paid to do by the administration, and this administration lies.
And, it's funny, as I keep looking online and I keep seeing a lot of the comments, it's exactly kind of like what you said, Aaron, with the very Orwellian, because there has been so many 1984 quotes that I've seen popping up on pages from people, and it's true, and it's scary as hell. No doubt about it.
Yeah, everyone, if you haven't read it, which you should have, go read it. Go read it.
Yeah, it couldn't be more relevant right now. I feel like we should have the Trump starter pack with books you should be reading, like 1984, Fahrenheit 451. Yeah, just so many books.
It also comes with a cyanide pill.
Oh yeah. Well, for when you get to the end of them. Well, what do I do now? Yeah, we are living in a really, really crazy time. That's one of the main things I can say. One of the crazier things that happened after the inauguration, which I kind of wanted to talk about because I just wanted to get you guys' opinion on it. Alt-right leader Richard Spencer was punched in the face after the inauguration. Yeah, while he was describing their mascot, that little frog guy, Pepe the Frog. So of course it's got the internet and everyone asking, where do we draw the line? Is it okay to punch a Nazi? Should we really not be encouraging that? So yeah, I'm really curious to hear what you guys think. Let me start with Kara.
I am pro punching Nazis. I thought about it for a second. I'm usually such a pacifist too. I don't like violence. I'm not a big fan of wars, but it's punching Nazis. I think that's probably okay. And you know what? They co-opted Pepe. The creator of Pepe never intended for him to become this neo-Nazi symbol. So they deserve an extra punch for that, because it's just mean.
Why Pepe the Frog? I don't get it.
I don't know why they took Pepe the Frog. Pepe was
Yeah.
just supposed